future legend.
And today we're going to be teaching you some pan fishing tactics for ice fishing. So Kelsey, how can we catch a panfish?
So first you want to go to Scheels and pick out your favorite pan.
Then, to make sure you have a good pan, you're going to whack Kelsey across the head. And if she cries, that's how you know you got a good pan.
Then you're going to go to the lake and scoop up some fish and fry them over a nice warm fire.
Okay, that's one way to catch a panfish, but here's a few easier ways. Kelsey, how do we break down the lake?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. You can get the map contour on Helix, or you can go on your phone and download the app called Navionics, or you can buy a map at your local bait shop, like this one here. You guys have them on your tables there.
Mapping will show you the structure as well as the depths of the lake. As you can see, like here, there's 40 feet. It tells you the different structures. This is a Pelican Lake. You can look these up at Scheels too, upstairs. And then this makes it easier to pinpoint the fish. So, as you can tell,
Chloe, where and how do we find the fish?
so fish are always moving. So you most likely not have a good bite the entire winter. So that's what scouting's for. Scouting is when you have a electronic and you drive around the lake and you find where the good structure is, and then you drill holes and drop in your Vexilar and see if there's fish there. And then that makes it easier to move your fish house.
Or if you like to fish for bluegills, they tend to pin down tighter to the bottom. Or if you want to fish crappies, they're usually suspended right off the bottom.
Panfish love basins. And shallow basins are usually 12 to 15 feet depending on your lake, and deep basins are usually 25 to 40 again depending on your lake.
And fish can be in different depths based off the habitat and then their food source. So say you're jigging for crappies or something, and bluegills are lower than the crappies. If the bluegills see a nice hot pink jig up there, then bluegills might come up and bite it, and you might think you have a crappie, but you have a bluegill. A couple different ways you can jig here. You're gonna have the vertical jig, which is just your little more just straight up and down. Horizontal jig, you might think it's like side to side or something, but actually you can just do nice up, swift, easy movements, or you can just do a dead stick, which where you just leave it flat and don't jig it at all, like you're rattling reels or something, and just don't let it move. Chloe, how do I pick out the best rod?
So the ideal ice fishing rod is a 24 to 36 inch rod with a 2 to 4 pound test fluorocarbon with a smaller reel. Kelsey, what are some pretty good rods and brands?
Well, there's the St.Cloud panfish combo. That's a nice rod with a nice sensitive tip, got nice backbone to it, so when you can feel the fish bite, and when you're reeling it up, your rod won't bend in half unless if it's a huge fish or something, but you can really feel that fish when you're reeling it up.
Then there's the Della Bay Pan Sizzler Noodle. They have a really nice backbone and pretty sensitive tip. Really awesome rod, and Della Bay is a handcrafted company. So Della Bay rods are one of the best out there. And then
you got the Thorn Bros Sweetheart rod. We don't have that one here, but it's a nice, longer rod. Got a really nice handle. That's my favorite part. It's a nice, thicker handle, so when you're jigging, you can really hold on to that handle, and you got a nice grip on it. And it's got a nice sensitive tip and nice backbone also.
Then there's a 13 inline drop reel. So you're probably looking at this pickle stick and thinking, I've never seen that kind of reel before. And that's because this is an inline drop reel. An inline drop reel is made to help not have as much memory in your line as you usually would with a spinning reel like this one. So they're really awesome, and again, helps not make as much memory.
And then you got the clam straight drop combo. Another nice setup, nice brand for fishing to go through, but nice sensitive tip, and when you're reeling up that fish, it's got that nice sensitive tip and backbone, so if that fish ever gets slack, you know when you have slack because it's a nice rod when it straightens out when it has slack right away. And then you got your spoons. They're meant to you get jigged, and then it reflects in the water so it catches the fish high if they're farther away. And then you can see, and then they're like, oh, what's that? But what kind of bait can I put on there?
So the spoon, you can use the wax worm chandelier style. Chandelier style is when you put a wax worm on each of the treble hooks. It's a really efficient way. And then a minnow head, rip off the tail of a minnow and hook it on there. Then there's the glow jigs.
The glow jigs will attract the fish, and the more jig, the more they want to bite. So you can take like a UV light is what they're called, so I think this one's glow. So you got a glow ring on your Vexilar, and it'll light it up, and then when you drop it down, all them white dots and that pink will glow in the water, and the fish like that. Where's my rope?
Me and Kelsey picked some of our favorite jigs for ice fishing to show you today.
You got the Pinhead Pro. That's one you can put the minnow heads on, or you can get the minnow or the waxworm chandelier style. You can get the jointed pinhead, which is there's just like a little where the red two lines are. There might be a joint right between the red lines and the dots, and then it's when you jig it, it gives that head a little bit more of a swivel. So then it will give that minnow head or waxworms, whatever you have on there, a little more action.
Then there's a Tika Flash. Tika Flash has a little spoon on the end, which again reflects in the water like a regular spoon would, and then it attracts the fish and then calls them in pretty much, and then you can again put on a little wax worm on there, like chandelier style, or you can put a little minnow head on there, really great and effective way.
Or you got the clam swirl drop kick jig. It's a nicer jig. It's more simple, but you can put a wax worm or minnow head on there. And then if you just jig it, I think the sunfish just love that one.
Then there's the Bomber P-Slab spoon. Again, another spoon, really awesome. This one we picked is a little bit of a more reflective color, bright neon yellow or green, whatever you want to call it. And then again, reflects in the water, calls in the fish. You can put chandelier style, minnow head, or anything.
And then get the clam blade jig, just basically simpler jig. You can put a minnow head on that red hook there, or you can put a wax worm on there. I prefer the minnow head on that one. I think the bigger fish like it with just a minnow head on there than your littler wax worms.
Then there's the clam dingleberry drop jig. As you can tell, there's a little dingle off of the end. It's a regular jig, but it has a little dingleberry coming off of it. You can put a minnow head or a wax worm on there. Really awesome jig. And then you got the caviar jig, aka the raspberry jig. The fish love that one. I think it's for the little raspberry on there because everyone's gotta love their raspberries. Or you can put a minnow head on there or waxworm, which they might actually like. Yeah, for the smell. Then there's the clam drop jig. It's another pretty simple jig. Put a little waxworm or a minnow head on there. Pretty effective way. And yeah.
Chloe, what's a rip and wrap and jig and wrap?
So many people say you don't need to use bait on a presentation like this, but you definitely can. A lot of fish will go for the head up there, but not the treble hook. So you can use some bait. You can use a little waxworm chandelier style, or you can put a minnow head on there to redirect their attention down to the treble hook. This helps with a little bit more of a guaranteed bite than you regularly would with just the hook. And yeah, or you can cut up a plastic and redirect their attention.
And then there's the glide bait. They cover a lot of ground for when you're jigging them. They like to cover ground is what they're meant to do, and they like to attract the fish more. That's their job.
Kelsey, what are some really great live baits for ice fishing?
Well, here's are some examples of really good live bait, and which your basics and really good live bait. You've got the crappie minnow, which you can use two different ways. You can hook it right above the spine to just let it swim around and you don't paralyze it. Or you can pinch right behind its head and then kind of pull its tail off from its head and then just try to leave some guts hang and then hook it right through the mouth. That's how I use it. Or you got your wax worms, which are little worms, maybe that big, just white little worms. And then you got spikes, which are a little bit smaller than your wax worms. And some are red, some are white, and I've found some blue ones before, but you're lucky if you find them. Those would be good ones.
Then the biggest benefits with plastics are that they're very cost effective. So whenever you go and buy some live bait, it usually can get to be pretty expensive. Those are the P3 plastics she's showing you right now. You can come on up and look at them after, but please do not take any. And then they are very cost effective again, so then whenever you go up to the bait shop, they're about, live bait can get pretty expensive, I'm not sure how much it is, but P3 plastics come in a pack, or just plastics in general, so you can reuse them. And then you don't lose them as fast as regular bait. Whenever you're using regular bait, there's a little bit more of a chance that a little bluegills can come up and flick off your wax worm than it would with the plastic. Kelsey, what are some pretty good plastics?
Well, there's the plastics. There's P3 plastics, the ones I just showed you. There's some different kinds here. Otherwise, there's clam plastics. Those are another good ones. They sell right upstairs, up the stairs. And another great set of plastics. But I like these ones. Say they got these extra little legs or stuff running off you. So you put one of them on your drop jigs. And when you jig it, that gives them a little more action, and I think the fish like that more.
Then,
Chloe, what is a spring bobber? I've never heard of one of those.
so a spring bobber is something that will help you feel the bite a little bit more. So if you're out ice fishing and then you have a negative bite is when the fish comes up and takes it up. If you can look, the spring bobber is always hanging a little bit lower than what the regular tip is. So when the fish comes up, then your spring bobber goes straight. That helps you feel the negative bite. So if you're looking at your tip and then it randomly goes straight, then you have a little bit of a better chance of getting the bite. And with regular tips, this will help you miss a lot less fish. They're really effective and really awesome. Technical difficulties. Is there any questions?
What's the biggest panfish or crappie you've caught?
I think mine was like 13 or 14 a few years ago.
I caught a 14.5-inch black crappie.
Ooh.
And I think it was pretty big for a white crappie. I caught a 10.5-inch.
Nice.
Anybody else have any questions?
Then you're pretty much hooked from there on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. Anybody else?